And you? No, she's not. Excuse me. Check her medical records. She's 6 weeks pregnant. You can't reverse a tubal liation when you're already pregnant. She's been lying to everyone, including you. Silence. Also, Carl, you might want to review the documents my lawyer sent. Your client documented plans to commit fraud. You're now potentially complicit if you continue representing her knowing this. I need to review this with my client. Good luck with that. She's supposedly unconscious. I hung up, opened my laptop, started coding for real this time. The adrenaline made my fingers fly across the keyboard. At 2 p.m., another call. This time from a number I recognized. The hospital. Mr. Easton, this is Nurse Patricia from Recovery. Your wife is asking for you. She seems distressed. Is she conscious? Very much so. She's actually quite agitated. She keeps saying something about frozen accounts. In the background, I could hear Daisy's voice, high and panicked. Where is he? Why won't he answer? My cards aren't working. Tell her, I said calmly, to check with her lawyer. Sir, her lawyer. Carl something. He has all the information she needs. I hung up as I heard Daisy scream, Why is my mother here? Why is she holding printouts? The text started at 3:17 p.m. Daisy, what did you do? Daisy, David, please answer me. Daisy, this isn't funny. Daisy, my cards aren't working. Daisy, Mom is here screaming at me. Daisy, answer your phone. I didn't respond. I just watched the message count climb while I worked on implementing a new physics engine for my game. Amazing how productive you can be when your world is burning down exactly according to plan. At 4:00 p.m., Barbara called, David, I'm at the hospital with Daisy. She's hysterical. I imagine so. She keeps saying this is all a misunderstanding. That you've gone crazy. That someone hacked her accounts. Someone did hack her accounts, Barb. Me? After I found out she's been stealing 30 grand and planning to leave me for a married man. Barbara's voice dropped. She's pregnant. I know. 6 weeks, which is interesting since she told me she was getting her tubes untied today. Christ, I heard her move away from Daisy, probably into the hallway. The papers you sent the screenshots. David, I raised her better than this. I thought so too. She can't come to my place. I won't have a liar and a homewrecker under my roof. Not after what she did to you. Not after she used my credit to help secure that apartment. That's when I heard it. Daisy screaming in the background. Mom, you don't understand. He's crazy. He's trying to destroy me. Barbara hung up. At 5:30, Preston called. Her lawyer's trying to negotiate. Says you're committing financial abuse by freezing assets during a medical procedure. What medical procedure? She's pregnant. The whole surgery was fake. I explained that. Now he's pivoting to temporary support for medical care. For a fake surgery? That's what I said. He's grasping at straws. Also, heads up, Gavin's wife Becca just filed for divorce. My colleague at Whitfield and Associates is handling it. She's going scorched earth. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. You destroyed my life. I'm coming over. It was Gavin. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rang. I checked the hallway camera. Gavin stood there disheveled, still in his work clothes. I opened the door but kept the chain on. You psychopath, he started. You ruined everything. Becca took everything. The house, the accounts. She's calling my job. I ruined everything. I laughed. Actually laughed. You were screwing my wife, planning to steal my money, living a double life. But I'm the psychopath. We were in love. You were in love with your wife too, right? 7 months pregnant. Becca. His face went red. That's different. Becca and I were basically separated. Really? Her Instagram says otherwise. All those photos of you at prenatal appointments. The baby moon in Bermuda last month while you were supposedly at a conference, right? Daisy mentioned you were traveling for work that week. He slammed his fist against the doorframe. You don't understand. Daisy and I have history. We were meant to be together. Then why didn't you divorce Becca months ago? Why all the sneaking around? Because he deflated. It's complicated. No, it's not. You wanted both. The pregnant wife with the trust fund and family connections, and the side piece who thought you were going to choose her. My phone rang, Daisy calling from a different number. That's her, isn't it? Gavin grabbed for my phone through the gap. Let me talk to her. I answered on speaker. David. Her voice was raw. I'm at Cousin Teresa's. Mom won't let me come home. The hospital is asking for payment. I can't access anything. Please, we need to talk. We are talking in person. Please, I'll explain everything. Explain what the $30,000 you stole. The house in Stamford, the fake surgery. Silence. Then how do you know about everything? Daisy, I know everything. Gavin suddenly yelled at the phone. Daisy, it's me. Becca knows. She's taking everything.
Gavin, her voice broke.
You're there? What do you mean Becca knows? Your husband sent her everything. The messages, the photos, the fertility consultation. Wait, Daisy interrupted. What fertility consultation? I smiled. Oh, Gavin didn't tell you. I found his medical records. He had a vasectomy 2 years ago. The silence was beautiful. Then Daisy whispered, Gavin, you said you wanted kids. You said we'd have a family. I was going to reverse it, he said quickly. Eventually, I'm pregnant right now. The silence stretched until I could hear Gavin's breathing through the door gap and Daisy's shallow gasps through the phone. If you had a vasectomy, Daisy's voice was deadly quiet. Then whose? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I said, want to tell us about the seer at the hotel? Daisy Tristan, right? The one with 3 kids and a wife who just found out about your overtime meetings in the wine cellar. Gavin stepped back from my door. The seer you were sleeping with once, Daisy screamed. It was once, maybe twice. We were tasting the new wines for the spring menu, and the timestamps say otherwise. I interrupted every Tuesday and Thursday for 2 months, always when his wife was at her book club. Gavin was pacing the hallway now, running his hands through his hair. You told me I was the only one. You said we were starting fresh, says the man who never planned to have kids with her, I pointed out. Tell me, Gavin, did Becca's father really fund your wind farm project? Is that why you couldn't leave her? His silence was answer enough. Daisy was sobbing now. This isn't how it was supposed to happen. No, how was it supposed to happen? You'd pretend to get your tubes untied, divorce me, take half my assets, move in with Gavin, who'd magically never be around because of work, while you raised Tristan's baby alone. I didn't know it was Tristan's, but you knew it wasn't mine, and you were happy to let Gavin think it was his. Preston texted me Tristan's wife just called my office. She wants to know if she can sue Daisy for alienation of affection. I put the phone on speaker and set it on my desk. Gavin, Becca's lawyer, just contacted mine. She's seeking full custody and 70% of assets due to infidelity. Daisy, Tristan's wife, is considering legal action. And your boss called your suspended pending investigation of time card fraud. This is your fault, Daisy screamed. You did this. You destroyed everything. I documented everything. You destroyed yourself. Gavin was still at my door. I've lost my job. Becca's father called the board. Said, either I resign or he pulls funding. Tough break, Daisy, Gavin called out. We can figure this out, we can. You had a vasectomy, she screamed. You let me believe we were building a future. You were sleeping with another man. You were sleeping with your wife. I picked up the phone. Here's what's going to happen. Daisy, you're going to sign the divorce papers Preston sends. You'll take your $30,000 of stolen money. I have the receipts, so we'll call it a parting gift, and your personal belongings, no alimony. No claims on my royalties, nothing. I'm pregnant and homeless. You're pregnant with a baby of a married sire who wants nothing to do with you. That's not my problem. Sign the papers or I press charges for fraud and theft. You wouldn't try me. 2 weeks later, she signed. The divorce was final in 3 months. New York fast track for cases involving fraud. Daisy moved back to Ohio with whatever family would still talk to her. Last I heard, she was working at a bakery in Columbus, living in a studio apartment above the shop. Gavin lost everything. Becca took the house, the investments, and full custody of their child. His reputation in renewable energy was shot. Turns out executive boards don't like scandals. He's selling insurance in Jersey now. Tristan's wife divorced him and got the brownstone. He sends child support for 4 kids now, 3 with his ex-wife, 1 with Daisy. As for me, I turned the whole experience into game mechanics. False Foundations launched 6 months later, a puzzle game where players uncover layers of deception. It hit number 2 on Steam. The sequel, Broken Trust, comes out next month. I kept the apartment, bought out the lease entirely. Got a rescue dog named Ghost, who's terrible at fetch, but great at knowing who to trust. Moved my desk to face the window instead of the wall. Started taking walks in daylight. Last week, Daisy sent a text from a new number. I'm sorry. Can we talk? I screenshotted it, dropped it in a folder labeled Marketing Material, Broken Trust, and blocked the number. Some puzzles aren't worth solving twice. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you really like our videos, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. Dinner exit strategy, timeline, and assets. I read every word twice. Week 1 post-surgery. File separation papers. Claim emotional abandonment due to his gaming obsession. Lawyer says 18 months minimum alimony in NY. Gaming royalties count as marital assets. Possible 50% split. Keep apartment. His name not on new lease renewal. Do not mention pregnancy plans until after filing. There was a subsection titled Financial Prep that made me actually laugh out loud. Monthly transfers to separate account complete. Current balance $30,000. Story of discovered. Saving for bakery equipment $30,000. I checked our joint account on my banking app. The withdrawals were there, hidden between grocery runs and Con Edison payments. Small amounts, smart amounts. $500 here, $750 there, always just below what would trigger my attention during quick balance checks. The WhatsApp web app was still logged in on her laptop. I opened it. Their conversation went back 8 months, 2 months before they reconnected at that alumni event. I'll spare you the explicit photos, but there was one that hit different. Her wearing my grandmother's ring while lying in someone else's bed. The message underneath. He still thinks I lost this at the gym. Smiley face emoji. My grandmother's ring. The one she'd cried about losing. I'd spent 3 hours on the phone with gym management, filed a police report. Even posted on neighborhood Facebook groups. Gavin's messages were worse somehow. More calculated. Once you're pregnant, he can't claim abandonment. My lawyer handled 3 similar cases. You'll get enough to cover expenses until you establish residency here. Just keep playing the devoted wife for 3 more days. The fool's probably debugging while we're texting right now. The fool. I was the fool debugging at 2 a.m. while my wife texted her exit strategy from our bedroom. I screenshotted everything, created folders, timestamps, metadata, evidence packages organized like I was documenting code for a new developer. By 4 a.m., I had 1.3 gigabyte of proof. Then I found the smoking gun, a PDF in her downloads folder, fertility consultation, post-Reverheal protocol, dated 3 months ago. But that wasn't the kicker. The patient information form listed an emergency contact. Not me, her husband, Gavin's wife, because he was married to a woman named Becca, who, according to the Instagram account I found, was 7 months pregnant and so grateful for my amazing husband's support during this journey. I sat back in my chair as the sun started creeping through our windows. Daisy wasn't just leaving me for another man. She was leaving me for another woman's husband. Saturday morning, Daisy woke up humming. Actually humming like she was in some Disney movie about following your dreams. "Morning, babe," she chirped, padding into the kitchen where I was already on my 3rd cup of coffee. "You're up early." "Couldn't sleep." New game idea. She bought it instantly. Why wouldn't she? I'd pulled all-nighters for less. "Well, I'm meeting my mom for brunch, then hitting the gym." She poured orange juice, did a little spin. "Need to be in peak condition for Monday." Peak condition for her tubal reversal to have another woman's husband's baby. "Have fun," I said, staring at my laptop screen. The second her Uber pulled away, I made my first call. "Preston, it's David. Yeah, I know it's Saturday. I need the kind of help that can't wait until Monday." Preston Yates was my college roommate who traded his philosophy degree for law school. Now he handled divorces for people with real money, the kind where prenups had subclauses and assets needed forensic accountants. "How bad?" he asked. "She's been stealing money and planning to take half my gaming royalties while pregnant with her married boyfriend's kid." "Jesus, how much proof do you have?" "Everything. Come by my office. Bring everything." I was there in 40 minutes with 3 USB drives and a cloud backup. Preston read through everything, his expression shifting from professional concern to genuine disgust. This exit strategy document. She actually titled it that she's not subtle when she thinks nobody's watching. He pulled up his laptop. "Here's what we're going to do. Emergency asset freeze motion. It'll lock everything the moment it's filed, but timing is crucial. When's her surgery? Monday, 8 a.m. Perfect. We file at 10 a.m., she'll be unconscious. Can't interfere. Can't move money. Can't warn anyone. That's brutal. She planned to rob you blind while you supported her affair. We're just returning the favor legally. We spent 3 hours drafting documents, setting up my new LLC, Rendered Dreams Gaming, transferring my intellectual property, opening accounts she couldn't touch. What about the $30,000 she took? We documented his theft. She either returns it or we press charges. By the time I left Preston's office, I had a battle plan that would make Sun Tzu proud. Sunday was performance art. I helped Daisy pack her overnight bag for the hospital, made her favorite Thai food for dinner, even watched some terrible reality show she loved about couples renovating houses. "You're being so sweet," she said, curled against me on the couch. "I know this is weird for you. I just want you to be happy." She squeezed my hand. The hand wearing my grandmother's ring, the one she'd found last month at the bottom of her gym bag. After this is all over, things will be different. Better, I promise. I nodded. Everything will definitely be different. That night, she went to bed early, needed proper rest for surgery. I stayed up working on game mechanics. Instead, I prepared 3 packages. One for her mother, Barbara, who'd co-signed our lease and thought I walked on water. Screenshots of Daisy planning to leave me homeless while she moved to Connecticut. One for her boss at the hotel. Evidence of her claiming overtime for 60-hour weeks when she was really with Gavin. Time card fraud with documentation. One for Gavin's wife, Becca, everything. The photos, the plans, the fertility consultations, the works, all scheduled to send at 10:30 a.m. Monday, 30 minutes after the asset freeze filed. At 2 a.m., I checked Daisy's phone one last time. She'd left it charging in the kitchen, careless with confidence. A new message from Gavin. Can't wait for our new beginning. Put the deposit down on the Stamford house. 4 bedrooms. Room for a nursery and your baking studio. I screenshotted it, then noticed something else. A message from someone named Dr. Rodriguez, not the surgeon she'd mentioned. And this one was an OBGYN, confirming your 6-week prenatal appointment for Wednesday. Congratulations again on the positive test. Positive test. 6 weeks. She was already pregnant. The reversal surgery, it was fake. She wasn't getting her tubes untied to have Gavin's baby. She was already carrying it. Monday morning came like a scheduled execution. Daisy's alarm went off at 5:30. She bounced out of bed like she was heading to her own wedding. Today's the day. She practically sang heading for the shower. I made her coffee decaf, though she didn't know that pregnant women shouldn't have caffeine. The irony wasn't lost on me that I was taking better care of her pregnancy than she was. You're the best, she said, sipping it while doing her makeup. Most husbands would be weird about this. I'm not most husbands. She laughed. No, you're definitely not. The drive to the hospital was surreal. She chatted about recovery times, how she'd already meal prepped for the week, how her mom would come by to check on her tomorrow. All lies. The surgery wasn't real, but the performance was Oscar-worthy. You don't have to wait, she said as we pulled into the hospital parking garage. I know hospitals make you anxious.
They didn't, but I played along.
You sure? I can stay. No, go home and work. I'll text you when I'm in recovery. She kissed me goodbye. A real kiss, the kind she used to give me before all this started. For a second, I almost felt something. Almost. At 8 a.m., she checked in for her surgery. I watched from the lobby as she disappeared behind the surgical wing doors. Then I walked to my car, pulled out my phone, and texted Preston. She's in. Start the countdown. At 8:30, I was home watching my lawyer file everything electronically. Emergency asset freeze motion, divorce petition, fraud documentation, the works. At 9 a.m., the process server arrived at the hospital with papers for Daisy. At 9:45, my phone rang. Preston, it's done. Every account is frozen. The apartment's locked under your LLC. Her car has been remotely disabled. The bank's reclaiming it since you stopped payments. She's going to lose her mind. She's going to lose everything. At 10:30, I hit send on the 3 packages. Barbara, Daisy's boss, Becca. Then I waited. Barbara called first at 10:47. David, what the hell is this? This can't be real. Daisy would never check her Venmo. Barb, the payments from Gavin. Check the dates. Silence. Then that lying little. I'm heading to the hospital right now. Daisy's boss texted at 11:15. We need to discuss these overtime discrepancies immediately. Do not have Daisy return to work until we speak. But the real fireworks came at 11:32, unknown number. I answered. Is this David? A woman's voice shaky. Who's this? Becca, Gavin's wife. I got your email. Is this real? These photos, these messages, every word. She started crying. I'm 7 months pregnant. We have a doctor's appointment today. He's been telling me about this new job. This house in Stamford he wanted us to move to. And the whole time the house is for him and Daisy. I saw the deposit confirmation. I'm going to destroy him. Her voice went from tears to steel. My father's a real estate attorney. My brother runs a private equity firm. Gavin's about to learn what prenups are really for. Noon came. My phone exploded. Daisy's lawyer, some bottom feeder named Carl she'd found on LegalZoom, called 6 times before I answered. Mr. Easton, this is highly irregular. Your wife is in surgery. What's that one secret you will take to your grave? When my dad married my stepmom, Carol, she had one strict rule. No pets allowed in the house. Carol was a neat freak who'd literally vacuum 3 times a day. She'd rather unalive herself than let an animal shed on her precious white carpets. But here's the thing. My dad was allergic to basically everything with fur. His eyes would swell shut if he even looked at a cat. So when I found a tiny orange kitten in the rain behind our garage, I knew I had to get creative. I built a little hideout in my closet using old Amazon boxes and blankets. The kitten, who I named Cheeto, lived there for 2 whole years without anyone finding out. I'd sneak food from dinner, clean his makeshift litter box when everyone was asleep, and vacuum up any stray fur before Carol's daily inspection. Getting Cheeto in and out of the house was like a military operation. I memorized everyone's schedules and had lookouts. My friend Robbie would text me when Carol left for yoga, and my neighbor Annie would warn me when she came back. I even trained Cheeto to stay completely silent whenever he heard Carol's voice. But keeping Cheeto hidden got harder as he grew bigger. Once during Carol's surprise room inspection, he sneezed from inside the closet. I started fake sneezing and coughing to cover it up, then pretended I was coming down with something. Carol made me stay home from school for 3 days, but at least she didn't check the closet. The closest call came when Dad needed to grab something from my closet while I was at soccer practice. Robbie, who was overstudying, created a whole diversion by accidentally on purpose spilling grape juice on Carol's new white couch. She completely forgot about the closet and spent 2 hours trying to get the stain out instead. I got really good at explaining away suspicious things. The random tuna cans in my trash. I'm trying to build muscle for soccer. The cat toy that fell out of my backpack. It's a stress ball for exam anxiety. The scratching sounds at night. Must be mice in the walls. Carol even hired an exterminator, but obviously they never found anything. Then one day, Dad had an allergic reaction. His face puffed up like a balloon, and Carol went on a rampage trying to figure out what caused it. She questioned me for hours about whether I'd been near any animals. I lied straight to her face while Cheeto was literally hiding under my bed 3 FT away. The real drama started when Carol decided to deep clean the entire house. She was determined to find whatever was triggering Dad's allergies. I knew she'd be checking every corner of every room. I had to think fast. I convinced Annie to pet sit Cheeto for a few days. The plan was perfect except for one tiny detail. Cheeto had scratched up the back of my closet door pretty badly. If Carol saw it during her cleaning spree, I was dead meat. So I did what any desperate kid would do. I accidentally broke my arm doing a skateboard trick right before the big clean. Carol spent the whole weekend driving me to the hospital and taking care of me instead of cleaning. Dad's allergies mysteriously cleared up while Cheeto was at Annie's, and Carol never suspected a thing. 2 years, 3 close calls, and about 1,000 lies later, I finally moved out for college. The day I left, I smuggled Cheeto out in my laundry basket. He lived with me in my dorm room against the rules, obviously. Then in my first apartment, and now he's sleeping on my lap as I type this. Dad and Carol still visit sometimes. Dad's allergies mysteriously act up every time, but he's never connected the dots. Carol still brags about how she's never allowed a single pet in her pristine house. Meanwhile, Cheeto just lounges on my couch, probably laughing at how he pulled off the greatest deception in Family Story 2. My wife announced, "I'm getting my tubes untied." My ex wants kids now, assuming I'd raise them. I said, "Follow your heart." Then I filed for divorce and froze my assets. Her lawyer called me 2 hours after the surgery. I need to tell someone about this before I lose my mind. My wife just asked me for permission to have another man's baby, and I said yes. But that's not even the worst part. Let me back up. I'm David, 32, and I develop indie games from our Brooklyn apartment. My wife, Daisy, 30, is a pastry chef at one of those hotels where dessert costs more than most people's groceries. We've been married 7 years, together for 9. The kind of couple our friends called goals until about 3 months ago when they started asking if everything was okay. Everything was perfect. Actually, too perfect. Looking back, our life had a rhythm. I'd code until 4 a.m., sleep until noon, then work on music and art assets until she got home at 7. She'd bring leftover eclairesa or whatever masterpiece didn't make it to the dining room. We'd eat dinner together. She'd tell me about the ridiculous requests from guests. Can you make a cake that looks like my ex-husband but tastes like revenge? And I'd share whatever bug had been driving me insane all day. 5 years ago, we had the kid conversation. Neither of us wanted them. She actually got her tubes tied the following year, said she didn't want any accidents derailing her career. I supported her completely, held her hand during the consultation, drove her home after the procedure, made her soup for a week straight. We were the couple who traveled to Tokyo on a whim, who could spend entire Sundays in bed debugging code or perfecting croissant techniques. Then Gavin showed up. Well, showed up again. Gavin was her college ex, now some renewable energy engineer who posts LinkedIn updates about revolutionizing wind farm efficiency and sustainable solutions for tomorrow. They reconnected at some alumni networking thing 3 months ago. Suddenly, Daisy had a lot of evening events, hotel industry stuff, she said, had to network, build connections, maybe launch her own boutique bakery someday. I didn't think much of it. I trusted her completely. Why wouldn't I? She wore my grandmother's ring, the one my mom gave her when she said Daisy was the daughter she never had. She had my banking passwords. Hell, she knew my Steam library organization system, and I don't even let my beta testers see that chaos. Tonight, we were at our usual Friday spot, this Vietnamese place in Park Slope where they know our order before we sit down. She was telling me about some diplomat's kid who wanted a cake shaped like a Lamborghini but more golden. Normal Friday conversation? Then, between slurps of fur, she said it. I'm getting my tubes untied. I almost choked on a bean sprout. What? She didn't even look up from her bowl. Gavin wants kids now. He's got this amazing position setting up wind farms across the Northeast, and he'll be traveling constantly, but he swears I'll be the primary parent. Says I'll be an amazing mother. The way she said it, like she was telling me she switched our coffee brand. Like the last 5 years of our agreement, our life plan, our entire foundation, none of it mattered. You're asking my permission? I managed to keep my voice steady. Not asking. She finally looked up, and there was something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Not guilt, excitement. Just letting you know. The appointment's Monday. Monday, 3 days. That's fast. She shrugged. Found a specialist who had a cancellation. These things are usually booked months out, but the universe aligned. You know the universe, right? I forced myself to smile. The kind of smile I use when a publisher tells me my game needs more microtransactions. Follow your heart. She reached across and squeezed my hand. I knew you'd understand. You always understand. I excused myself to the bathroom, pulled out my phone to splash some water on my face and check the time. But muscle memory opened her Google account instead. She'd logged in months ago to check something and never logged out. I was about to close it when I saw an email notification pop up. Surgery confirmation, Monday, 8 a.m. Dr. Rodriguez. My stomach dropped, but that wasn't what made my blood turn to ice. Below it, a Venmo notification. Gavin paid you $500, dinner, wine glass emoji. I scrolled down. Payment after payment, every week for 6 months, dinner. I stood in that bathroom staring at her Venmo history. 24 payments, $500 each, $12,000 for dinner over 6 months. My hands weren't shaking. They were perfectly still. That's when I knew something in me had shifted. I walked back to our table. Daisy was texting, smiling at her phone. Everything okay? She asked without looking up. Perfect, I said, matching her tone from earlier. Just like everything else, the ride home was quiet. She played some podcast about artisanal chocolate while I drove, occasionally laughing at jokes I didn't hear. When we got back to our apartment, she stretched and announced she was exhausted. That diplomat's party ran until 2 a.m. last night. I'm dead, she kissed my cheek. Don't stay up too late coding. She was asleep within minutes or pretending to be. I sat at my desk, opened my laptop, and became someone I didn't recognize. Someone methodical, someone who'd been betrayed. Her email password was still our anniversary date. Romantic, right? The inbox told a story I'd been too blind to read. Reservation confirmations at restaurants I'd never heard of. Uber receipts to addresses in Manhattan at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3:30 a.m., credit card statements showing charges at lingerie stores. Nothing I'd ever seen her wear. Then I found the folder labeled house hunting. Zillow listings all in Connecticut. All near Stamford, where Gavin's new wind farm project was based. She'd saved 17 properties, complete with mortgage calculator showing 2 incomes, his and hers. My chest felt hollow, but my mind was sharp. Clearer than when I'm 3 Red Bulls deep into a coding marathon. I kept digging. Her Google Drive had a shared document with Gavin. Last edited 6 hours ago during our